Yeah, absolutely.
Talk or go home. Clint, Nick, David, Mark, with a special guest, and I'm going to let Mark, you do the introductions, because you have the pleasure of being around this man more than anybody else here.
Okay.
Sadly, I wish I was around him more.
This gentleman sits across from me. Is in all of our hearts all the time because he's such a phenomenal human being. And see, this thing about Rob, he don't like to take praise. This is Rob McHugh, an Asheville legend, still legend, St. Clair County legend, state legend.
No. Just don't geographically.
Hey, I'm going.
He's just a legend.
Still Billy.
But anyway, yeah, I think an awful lot of Rob. So that's
yeah.
But anyway, I just look, we don't even need to say much. This man right here can tell stories after stories after stories. But Rob, this is your testament online, man. We're putting you on the air. I want you to tell your story, man. I want you to start like back in the days, like all your achievements athletically at Asheville, just, coming up. I want to hear about it.
I just want to hear stories that are going to make people laugh.
No, I want to hear the legend. Is what I want to hear. But anyway, you do what you want.
So how long do we have?
As much time as
it is 4:15. So you just go.
Like, you want the story that I share at school at chapel, or you just want the
absolutely
the sports part of it?
No,
let's go any which way you want to go.
Both of them. All of it.
How do I get put in charge?
On a dark and stormy night, Rob came into this
Put me on
world.
the spot.
Look, so I do want to clarify, though. I want to hear that Murphree story that you've got queued up. That's for certain. Before this is over with, we want to hear that David Murphree story.
Yeah, I want to hear it, 'cause I have no idea.
I'll get
What are you
that
talking about?
in. It had to do with the drag races in Commerce, Georgia.
Yeah, I got one on that, too. I got one on that, too, yeah.
Maybe the same story.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's the same thing.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Can we tell it? We'll do it in a little bit, or can you do it at all?
He can tell.
All right,
Go
but first, I want you to tell us about like your achievements in high school athletically, like what all you did.
Well, in high school, well, I actually started. My aunt, who actually played here, Jeannie, it was Jeannie McHugh at the time. She was the first girl to ever win the Jim Nunley Award, and she's the one that taught me how to do everything in sports. She taught me from little age. She had me in the yard. I was Major Ogilvy, played at Alabama.
Yeah.
Brought me pads and a football helmet and
That's
just
awesome.
a T-shirt with a 42 on the back so she could tear it, because they didn't tear away
Tear away jerseys, yep.
So right before she threw me into a tree, she would tear my jersey so that I thought it was cool.
That's awesome.
With concussion, after I hit the tree. But
With a plastic helmet.
yeah, a little plastic. No, actually, it was a real helmet.
Oh, okay.
It was a bike helmet,
Nice.
white with a gray face mask
Nice.
With the blue bladder in there.
with the blue bladder.
Yeah.
I actually had one of those here in high school too. It was green though.
Those bikes, that was the helmet to have at that time.
Yeah, I was big time. My
Yeah.
senior year here, I got a new helmet. I was the only one on the team that got new helmets and shoulder pads. I guess if y'all that don't know, Rush Stropes was my head coach here, and he was getting some new stuff, trying some new stuff. Well, I got the helmet and the shoulder pads.
What was the helmet?
It was a Rydell.
Those Rydell
It was a
helmets.
new Rydell's. It was the first one. I was the only one on the team that didn't have a bike helmet with the blue thing in the top.
Yeah, the bikes. At one time when Coach Farmer was here, like if you was the best players, you had those bike helmets with those blow up bladders
That's
in
why I
there.
didn't get. That's why
You aired the bladder up in
I remember
there,
airing
like
them
the
up
good
for all the players.
Yeah, the
Come
good
on.
running backs and everything. I remember Anthony Looney and all that
yeah.
bunch had those bikes. Everybody else just, I don't know, they probably had a net in there or something.
Probably.
I don't know.
But by the time I graduated, those bladders were now the cones for the pursuit drill.
Yep.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
Everybody got rid of them.
Everybody got rid of the bike helmet.
Either that, or whenever they went to air them up, they pushed through the bladder and it poked a hole in it.
Yeah.
Because nobody understood that you only went like so deep.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, good. He didn't do it. All right. That was a joke there that Clint set himself up for.
Yeah, then eventually you blow
trying
the
to act like
Rydells up. Had Rydell where you blow those up too. But.
Yeah.
I'm trying to act like a
You had that little pump they sent you, and everybody got tired of using those, so we started using air pressure. I mean, air compressor. I guess it just blew them all up. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Good times.
But
All right, y'all ready to go? That's a good story.
yeah, good story. So yeah, in high school I was I played all 3 sports. I thought I was going to do track one year. I ran for about a week, and I was like, that's too much running for me. I'm not doing this. So I just stuck with football, basketball, baseball, and my I don't remember what all awards I got. I can't tell you. I got all county, all region, whatever, in all 3. And my senior year.
And all 3.
My senior
huge.
year, I tore my ACL, first basketball game of the year. And that was on December the 17th. I had surgery December the 19th. And this is before you had to bring the papers back signed by the doctor saying you were released to play. So February the 2nd, I told Coach Stewart I'd been released to play baseball and had surgery December the 19th, and they told me to be a year. Well, I played from February the 2nd to the end of baseball.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Man's
made
man,
the
that's
East-West
tough.
All-Star team. And
That's a
Noel
man's
Weiss,
man.
who's a big prominent guy at Westbrook Christian, would never admit this, but I've got it in the Gadsden Times paper at my house. First at bat off of Noel, we had bases loaded, and I bounced it off top of the fence.
Did you?
According to Noel, he gave up no runs. I said, well, you gave up 3 because I hit it off the first pitch you threw to me in the East-West All-Star game.
I believe you.
So I got it on. It's in the Gadsden Times. I've got it at home somewhere.
You got evidence.
Because you're a walking
got
like
it.
encyclopedia for stuff, man. I swear Rob is. Like, all right, everything he says, I'm like, okay, I believe you, man.
But so yeah, Bernard Bozeman actually won the Jim Nunley Award my senior year because his grade point average was 1 point higher than mine. So he got it, and at that time, Probst, Bernard didn't want to play anything with basketball. Probst told everybody if you didn't play football, you wouldn't play anything else. So Bernard played football, and just so he could play basketball, and
Yeah.
he never played on the field much, but he made up for it in basketball because
Yeah,
he was
he was a
really good at
phenomenal
basketball.
basketball player.
So
I remember watching him.
left here and went to Sneed, played baseball.
Well, back up just a little bit to your senior year. Give me your recollections on beating. You were on a team beat Piedmont 7-2.
yeah.
Well, give me your
Oh, yeah.
recollections of that whole
So, yeah,
game and that process.
I
and
remember
everything.
walking out of the field house that night, going up the hill. I'll never forget it. And there was nowhere to stand. The track was full of people. They were ranked like number 3 in the state, and we were undefeated. No, Chelsea had beat us. We were like 5-1 maybe, I guess. They had Philip Nation and Michael Ball.
Yeah, the
running
Nations and
backs.
Balls.
They both went to Jacksonville to play football, and
Who was the defensive lineman? I
That
can't remember.
Jubal
his-
Donaldson.
Yeah, Donaldson. Yeah.
he was the guy that Probst said his mama was in jail or something, and he was pissed off about it. He's going to kill all of us.
All right.
You know,
So
Carried a knife in his football pants.
yeah, spit in your face.
Yeah.
So I wasn't long into that game. B.J. Crosby was like he was a junior that year. And he actually spit snuff in Jubal Donaldson's face,
Wow.
in his
Wow.
eyes.
Wow.
Sounds like BJ.
First series of the game, I know it pissed him off, pissed Jubal off, but he couldn't see. He had to come out for like 3 or 4 plays because he couldn't see. But yeah, that game, it was. We were up 7-2, and we scored on a little screen pass to Jeremy Jones, and he ran to my side, and I had the block that sprung him, and he scored. And we 7-0, and with about 3 minutes to go in the game, we're backed up, and Probst calls a timeout. We got the ball at like our 15-yard line. He tells Darryl Lowry, of all people, Darryl, you're going to catch this ball. You're going to run around as long as you can and run out of the back of the end zone. He said, we're going to give up a safety. Well, I was the personal protector. He snaps the ball to Darryl, and Darryl's standing back there, just standing there. Like, get out of the end zone. Get out, run around, move, do something. He's just standing there, just shaking. And I was like, move! And I start running at him, and he starts running around, and he never runs out of the end zone, and I knocked him out of the back of the end zone, and we won 7-2. We kicked off to them and held them, beat them 7-2. They were ranked number 3 in the state.
wow.
We came in the locker room after the game, and everybody celebrating, and came back out, and nobody had left. The parking lot was full, the band was playing, it was
That's
unbelievable.
That's awesome.
And the next year is when they were so good, that team gets all the credit. But we were
Nah, we'll give you credit.
we were pretty good my senior year.
Yeah.
We were 8-2 and didn't go to the playoffs.
That's crazy.
We lost
Yeah, that's
to
insane.
there's a 3-way tie for first place in the region. Us, Piedmont, and Moody. Moody beat us. Shane Thomas tore his ACL that Moody game. And sorry, Shane, that might have been the best thing that ever happened at Asheville. Duart came in at quarterback and threw for 3,000 yards or whatever it was. But Shane could run, y'all.
He could. Shane could fly.
Remember who was it? Mike Rather or somebody?
Yeah.
I think it might have been it wasn't the Piedmont game, but I've got it on VHS somewhere. That what was that after on the news?
Yeah. The
Sideline?
Sideline.
Shane
Yeah.
can run.
Yeah. I still
Yeah, I remember
remember
that.
that.
He ain't throw, but Shane can run.
Yeah. I remember that.
yeah, that was a great night. And that night, actually, we go back before that game. Brent Wilson, Brent Wilson was still the
manager
or whatever
Yeah.
it was, and he came in there and he would always drink Alka-Seltzer in a mason jar before the games. Yeah, we foaming at the mouth. And me and Marlon Bothwell, we had the first 2 lockers. Me and Marlon, and I think it was Brad Williams sitting on the other side of me, and Brent came in there and he made that Alka-Seltzer right in front of us. And we were like, oh yeah, here we go. He put it in, drinking. Wow, that just got everybody fired up. He's foaming at the mouth. And he told us before the game, he said, y'all gonna win this game. We're like, yeah, Brent, whatever, whatever, buddy. And it seems like he brought a cake or something. Like, I don't know if it was before the game or after the game, but there was a cake or something to do with that game. And we were like, he's done all. It was before the game because he'd done all this. And we're like, yeah, he's done all this. Already had us winning the game, and we won the game. And after the game, Brent was crying. I'll never forget it. And I was like, that's something. That's probably one of my greatest, not my greatest sports moment, but
Man, I love Brent.
It's right up there.
it's up there.
That's the biggest win here, probably, in school history, I would have to say. And that's what catapulted the next season into the next season.
Yeah.
I saw my first live pay-per-view, like WrestleMania with Brent in his basement over at Donald Ruby's. Me, him, and Matthew, man, we used to be real tight.
And when he passed away, we were all football team with pallbearers at his funeral.
Yeah, man.
So
That was
like,
awesome.
we took turns. 2 of us would stand up there at the time as everybody was visiting. 2 of us would stand there, and then I don't remember who all carried him like out to the cemetery. But yeah, it was hard to replace Brent Wilson.
Yeah, if there was a face of Asheville,
Yeah.
a face of Asheville, that would have been it.
Yeah,
Brent
yeah,
Wilson.
Yeah. Him and this Dale Earnhardt Monte
Yeah,
Carlo.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Black.
Yeah.
Well, Brent would take us to football practice in his El Camino, before we could drive. You just load up the back of the El Camino and go from here to the old football field.
Oh wow, well, that's before my time. Showing your age, there, Murphy.
How old are you, David?
I don't know. No, you had to get a ride, man.
Yeah.
Over
There you
there.
go,
If you
get a
couldn't drive, you had to get a ride with somebody. They'd load up in everybody's truck. Brent's El Camino.
My first spring here, I went to Steele, so we couldn't play football until we were in the 9th grade. Coming over here, and we planted sprigged the practice field. They just built the practice field, and I think they'd sprigged the new field. I think they'd actually played on the new field one year before we got here. We had to do something to it, though. I don't know if they took the turf back. I remember doing something on that field up there, too, but they built the tower out there that looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa now. Just I pulled up and saw that thing is kind of leaning, so I don't know if I get up in that thing now.
Yeah, it's a safety hazard. It's not OSHA approved.
Yeah.
So,
But, yeah,
something else. Approach.
Yeah. And Coach, have y'all had Coach Stewart on here before?
We've not.
Not on. Ow, I just hit myself. Not on Talk or Go Home. We've had him
Lost a tooth on Talk or Go Home.
We've had him on Dog Talk where he's talked about it, which is another show we do just exclusively for Asheville. But he talked about that tower. He talked about. I don't know if he talked about it on the recording. Maybe he just talked to me about it. But yeah,
Well, Josh Seawright talked about it too.
Yeah.
About the construction of it and everything.
yeah.
And then Coach Whaley talked about running
Whaley.
Running the wire.
running the wire.
Yep.
Or not
extension
running the wire.
cord. Something.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time up in that tower as a young man. Dad would be out there coaching, and I'd get bored. I'd just climb up there.
I'll tell you how old I am. He was a water boy when I was playing.
Yeah.
He was in like the 5th grade.
I think probably 3rd or 4th.
Thanks,
I was
Mark.
young.
Make him feel that much older.
Hey, I flew my first radio-controlled airplane off the top of that tower. Threw it, and then zzz, took it off.
How'd to do it again?
Crashed it on the.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
How was that
pedestal.
again? But yeah, I was asking about Coach Stewart because our senior year of basketball, he said it was the best team he ever had. And I got hurt. Marlon had something unfortunate happen to him.
I believe it because
He
y'all had
missed
some studs.
he
Y'all had
got,
some studs.
I ain't gonna say that on what happened to Marlon on here. Y'all can check that later. he missed this senior year because of a thigh injury. I'll tell y'all off air.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking. I think I've heard that story before.
A groin injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, a groin injury. But we had me and Bernard and Brad Williams and Marlon Bothwell and the C. Wrights and Sonny Tibbs, and we were loaded in basketball. And then I tore my ACL. Marlon got hurt, and Jimmy Baker actually played I can't even talk basketball that year. And Jimmy, I don't know if y'all remember him. He was like 6'4", 250, and was pretty athletic. Quit football because he's going to be preaching. And but he did play basketball that year. And him and Josh C right in the middle was tough to
that's a lot.
tough to tangle with. But
Twin Towers.
Yeah, that's a lot to handle.
I still remember watching you guys, man. It was incredible.
and then baseball. I told you my senior year what happened, but we won 3 games all 3 years I was here combined. I pitched all 3 of them. Woo! Yeah. And I led the team my senior year in RBIs for 10.
Nice.
That's how good we were. So
Wow.
baseball, and Coach Stewart was coach of that team too. And he had more choice words about that team than the basketball team.
I bet.
But
Love the basketball team. The baseball team.
yeah, baseball team, not very good. First pitch I ever threw in high school, Brandon Moore, who played at Auburn and went on to play at
Springville.
White Sox. Yeah, we were playing at Springville, and where their new field is now, and bases were loaded. Doug Boatrout was pitching. He brings me out of left field. Bases loaded. First pitch, Brandon Moore hit it over Highway 11 in the house over there. Grand slam. First pitch in high school, 9th grader. Jack over the highway. Well,
He was good, but he was good though.
oh yeah. Well, later that season, we were playing him at Asheville, and we used to play over at the industrial park over
Yeah.
by the sewage pond.
Right.
Well,
Which are still there, by the
which
way.
still, yeah. Well, we were playing there, and I brought in to pitch again. Rock Woody hit one in the sewage pond over
Ugh.
my car.
Yeah, they're loaded.
Parking
Springville
lot.
loaded now. That's
Yeah.
some of the best athletes ever
Yeah,
in the
Rock
county.
Woody, Brandon,
they come
Brandon
through there,
Moore,
yeah.
Who was
They were
it?
incredible.
Al Rayburn and all that.
Yeah, and that
bunch.
was some other kid.
The Wiley brothers.
Cedric,
Yeah, Woody's, the
Woody.
Woodies, the
Yeah.
Swopes.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon Moore went to play ACC.
Well, you know,
Baseball,
Richard
2 or 3
Wade
of them
was on there.
Hey, Richard Wade.
He come through there at the same time,
He
too.
ain't counting Bucky. But Bucky tries to be an asphalt. He's from Springville.
Yeah, they tried it, but it didn't take.
Yeah, it didn't take. He had to move. His kids are in Westbrook now.
Yeah. What's probably the funniest memory from that time period of your life playing those sports? Whether it's just you in class at school or you.
Oh, I got it then.
Okay. All right.
Talking about this projector right here. You know, I don't know. You know, didn't y'all have Coach Smith?
I did
Yeah,
not.
he was my history teacher.
Well, Coach Smith had this projector that was it had the clear paper that he'd written on, and he'd just turn it and and project it up on the wall. Well, can you cuss on the show?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, it won't be bad. But anyway, me and T.J. James were sitting in there, and the whole class, he's in there talking, and he always had his briefcase sitting beside his desk. Well, those notes he'd had since the 60s, and he just don't even look at them, just winding that thing and talking. And it said exactly what's on the screen. You had to write it all down. He walks around his desk, trips over that briefcase, and falls on the floor. And we lost it. Yeah, y'all just a bunch of smart asses. T.J. James is back there just dying. And I was like, Coach Smith's laying in the floor like that turtle y'all just tried to get. He's just rolling around back there, couldn't get up. Me and T.J. were laughing. He sent us out of the room. Said, y'all get up, y'all go on down there to the office and see Mr. Logan.
Hey, and sometimes I'll just lean back in my chair sometimes in my room now. Nobody else knows nothing, what's going on or nothing. I'll just lean back, scratch my head and say, "Lot of talking." Just entertain myself. Nobody else knows what's going
The
on.
greatest class. It was so funny. We like every day. Are we taking notes today? What do y'all think? Well, I can't feel my hand from yesterday. When we write 20 pages of notes a day.
That's the thing. Students today wouldn't do it.
No, no.
They wouldn't do it.
No.
They wouldn't. Y'all need to write these notes today. They wouldn't write a thing.
When
Here we are killing ourselves trying to write all that down.
When I taught AP US history, it took all I had for my AP kids to write notes, to get them to write notes. They're AP kids.
I wasn't in the AP class, so
I don't know what
I'm
they're going to do when they
average
get to
man,
college, because are they going to have to take notes now in
absolutely.
college when they get there? I don't know what they're going
do
to
it
do.
on their Chromebook or something.
I don't know.
I mean, kids now, I don't know how they at Westbrook. This all on a Chromebook. They're going to do their homework and everything on a Chromebook. I mean, they hardly write anything.
That's why their handwriting's so crappy.
Yeah, they couldn't write in cursive.
They can't write in. Oh, heck no. I've seen Maze's signature, and it's like M.
Doctor. He's going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Well, they've gone back to putting the emphasis on that in third grade.
Yeah, they need to.
Handwriting.
They
All
need
the
to.
letters and everything. Cursive.
One of the funniest sports memories, I guess, my 9th grade year, I came over here for spring training, and Reagan Clark was still the head coach. And I don't know, it's probably might have been the first day of practice. He's walking around, those old coaching shorts. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Short and
He gave me my first pair, orange.
Oh, Lord. Well, I remember you wearing those orange shorts. I think the whole coach is you and Lance Smith.
Yeah.
Well, he'd walk around, he'd grab the bottom of those shorts and pull them up as far as he could like he had on a thong. Walking around out there at practice, blood, we want blood. Couldn't leave practice if somebody was bleeding. Well, it took about a week and we all figured out somebody's got to be bleeding. Well, those old face masks on those helmets were, I don't think you had the reconditioned helmets back then. Those helmets were back in the 70s, and they had metal hanging off the face mask. So we figured out real quick, if you rubbed your hands on your face mask, you'd cut your hand, you'd be bleeding, and we could stop practice. But one day, he was walking around hollering, blood, we want blood. And we look over there, and somebody's laying over there unconscious on the ground. Coach Martin walks up, and Coach, I think it might have been Probst, was hollering, who is it? Who's out over there? And he said, oh, it's just Seawright again. Sean Seawright. Coach Clark says, all right, practice is over, boys. We all left. Seawright still laying out there.
Just left him on the field.
Just left him laying out there. And, nowadays he'd probably went to jail. But
Dang.
That's awesome.
Somebody finally, I think it might have been Coach Martin, somebody went back over there and
Poked him with a stick. Hey,
get
get up.
alive. Got him up, brought him to.
Please tell your David Murphree story. Please enlighten us.
So, if y'all don't know, David's a big race car fan. No matter what kind of racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drag racing back in the day was our thing. It's me and my family and Murphy and Calvin Dewey's and several of us went to the NHRA races in Commerce, Georgia. And it's me and Angie, my wife, and Murphy was by himself. And we go to the races and everything, and we decide we're just going to stay over there, so we get us a hotel in Athens, Georgia.
Oh.
We get to the hotel, and we're walking in, and Murphy says, hey, look at that bus right there. Well, this bus pulls up. It says Tracey Lawrence on the side of it. And Tracey Lawrence walks off the bus, and this beautiful blonde-headed woman holding this dog. And Murphy goes over there, and we all introduce ourselves, shake his hand, and everything. Well, Murphy's had to go. I ain't going to say who your girlfriend was at the time, but he gets back to the room, calls his girlfriend. You won't believe what just happened. And she said, what? He said, well, I just met Tracey Lawrence, petted his wife, and saw his dog.
Petted his wife and saw his dog.
Petted his wife and saw his dog.
I believe it.
So you've told that story on the podcast before, but you didn't tell us that you said that.
I don't know. I guess I did. I don't remember that part either. But maybe I did.
You
It makes it
don't
better.
remember meeting Tracey Lawrence?
Yeah, I remember meeting him. Yeah.
Yeah, you met Tracey Lawrence, petted his wife, and saw his dog.
Okay. I hope I did say that. It makes
Oh,
it
you
better.
did say that.
That's better.
We were standing in the room when you said it.
That's
You
hilarious.
got a story about Rob.
Oh, gosh.
Well, no, that it may have been the same trip, but this has to do with your dad.
Oh, no.
Because in the parking lot that night, it was me and you and Joey Cash and your sister. I think who was out there, right?
I don't think
That
Joey
met
went
Tracey
that
Lawrence.
time.
Yeah, I think we was there, wasn't
No. Because
he? Joey Cash wasn't?
No.
Okay. I thought he was on that trip, too. This may have been the same
We
trip.
left that trip, went to a Braves game, me and you and Angie.
Okay, so that was that trip. Went to
Yeah.
the Braves game. Then we went to the zoo the next day.
Yeah, we
Then.
came home after the.
All right. Went to the Braves game. Hey, we were sitting up there in the stands, and there was this little kid that had bought him a Top Fuel dragster. He was up there playing with it, metal stands, playing with it. He was playing with that Top Fuel dragster, and the motor just falls out of it. The car, and it hits the metal stands, boom, boom. We're up high, and finally it just falls down, hits the ground. And that kid's just looking down there, and I look at your dad, and we're just looking at each other, and your dad says, well, I guess he can say he lost a motor at the Southern Nationals. I'll always remember that. I thought that's pretty good. That's all I got.
That's it.
Now, one other thing, athletics. One other thing, I wanted to ask you about this, see if you remember this. I thought we were playing North Sand Mountain.
No.
Junior, this has to do with your dad, too. I want to see what your recollection is this. See if you can tell us what happened. But he almost come over the fence
That was Chelsea.
at Chelsea. He almost come over the fence at a coach that night. I've never seen him that mad. What did you do? What happened? I'm not going to mention the coach's name.
You can't mention. Okay.
I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm not
I'm not
going.
going to mention it either.
Okay, but he did eventually become head coach here, but he got really mad at him. He was defense coordinator.
Yeah.
I
was
think
playing
what
corner,
happened?
And we were playing Chelsea, and it actually wasn't my fault. It was Joey's fault. Joey Cash. He was playing outside linebacker on that side. Well, they ran that veer offense, and they had this kid named Brandon. Was it Brandon Boykin? He went to
Yeah, that sounds right.
Went
Boykin.
to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Well, they ran the veer, and they were going that way. Well, me and Joey take off that way, and they run the veer out the backside over there, and there goes Brandon down the sideline for the winning touchdown. They beat us 14-7. And I get to the sideline and kind of get strangled over there by one of the coaches, and I look over, and my dad's coming over the fence.
Yeah.
And people trying to hold him back.
Mm-hmm. I think your his brother was over there.
No, it was
it
Harold Lowry.
Was it Lowry?
Yeah, that was holding him back. And he said, well, I heard Harold, we'll get him after the game.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, I remember that pretty good.
Yeah, that was
when that happened.
Yeah. And I just scored right before that to tie the game. And when I got hit, I dove in the end zone. And when I got hit, we had those old jerseys with the big holes in them. And I was stuck to the fence. Couldn't get off the fence. I was like they had Velcro on me or something, threw me up against one of them targets. They had to peel me off the fence.
It'd been good if you'd had a tearaway then.
Yeah, if I'd had that Major Ogilvy tearaway jersey, I'd have been in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man,
Did
yeah.
you see that happen?
At Chelsea?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there that night. Yeah.
I had to go to therapy for like a week because I couldn't move my head.
Dang.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's,
So, yeah.
It's a pretty tight grip.
Yeah.
You got
He was like strangling me, shaking me. And that's what.
Like the death.
Yeah.
you got any stories about Rob?
Do I have any stories? I mean,
You have one that's hilarious. I want you to tell it again.
Yes. I'm trying to set you up, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank.
You say it was White Plains?
Yeah, I think.
Kid at White Plains. Rob walked by.
Oh, no. It's
No, that
Plainview.
was a
Plainview.
Plainview.
That's right.
Plainview.
That was a
Where this is
Plainview.
going.
Go ahead.
But he tells it way better because I wasn't there when it happened. I'd have walked up right after it happened, and Rob told me what happened, and I was dying laughing.
So
Go ahead.
we're walking out of this year. We played Plainview at Plainview, and our locker room was like across the field from where we were, and it was before the game started.
Yeah, before the game.
So we'd done pregame warm-ups and everything. We walked in the locker room and got our pep talk and everything. And I always left a little earlier than everybody else because it takes me a little longer to get to the sideline than everybody else. But I start walking out there, and this kid's just staring at me. I'll get to that in a minute, but.
Yeah.
If you look at me long enough, you can tell something's wrong. so this little kid's just staring a hole through me,
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, here we go. Well, this little kid might have been 5th grade, maybe. He looks at me, and I look back at him finally. He says, "Are you drunk?" I said, "Thank God, I thought I was crippled." And just kept on walking, and I thought, did I just say that out loud? And I did because some of our parents heard me, and they were over there laughing too. And they're just like, did you just come up with that? And I said, well, I've heard it somewhere, but it just came out. Yeah, it just came out. I don't.
Yeah, he told me that. I was dying.
That's probably the greatest.
We had to go tell the other coaches too. So.
That's probably the greatest
Yeah.
response of all time.
Everybody's like, what's everybody laughing at? Oh, McHugh's over there has already done something else. And I said, oh, no.
You want to talk about that?
So, about what? About this?
Yeah.
You don't have.
Hey.
I'm going to preface this with saying I just love that you can make fun of yourself about it. You're like, this? I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, if I didn't, why not? Join in on the fun.
I mean, dude.
Yeah.
So going back to my sports stuff, so I went and played baseball at Sneed, and then my grandmother, her dad passed away, and my grandmother's sister, who I guess will be my great aunt, lives in Hawaii. So she came to the funeral, and this was in like April, and we're at the funeral, and she mentions to me, she says, "Hey, if you want to come to work this summer, I got a summer job you can have in Hawaii if you want to come." And my dad's standing there, and he's like, "If you don't go, I'm going to go." So I said, "Oh, okay. When baseball's over, I'll go." So baseball ended, and 2 days later, I go to Hawaii, and actually it was 3 days because I played in a softball tournament. The day after my last baseball game at Sneed, I struck out 3 times swinging because I couldn't hit the slow pitch softball from a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. but a couple days later, I went to Hawaii, and supposed to work at she was chief of parking and recreation for Maui County. She was over the county of Maui.
Wow.
And so I went over there to work for her, taking cash register drawers and being sure people were at work at their surfboard stands and stuff at the public beaches, and then go back in the evenings to pick them up. That was going to be my job. Well, my uncle was a member of a country club over there, and I started playing golf with him, and him and 3 other guys would bet $10 a hole. Well, in 1994, $10 a hole is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm not that much worse than these guys, so I didn't bet with them the first day, and they pissed me off because they got to calling me Bama. I'm an Auburn fan, and I didn't want to be called Bama. So I was like, I'm going to take these guys' money. So I started practicing. Well, the next week, on a Tuesday, I decided I'd bet with them a couple holes. Well, so my uncle was retired from a sugarcane mill over there. He was like a CEO of a sugarcane mill. That's how they used to make their power and stuff for the island and stuff, so he made pretty good money. The other guy was a retired CEO of Honda. His name was Aki.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
The other guy's son was Cedric Sabalas, who played basketball for the Lakers. So
Wow.
I wasn't ashamed of taking their money if I could take their money. I wasn't for sure, but I was going to try. So I bet with them a couple holes that day, and I won a little bit of money. Well, I thought, well, okay, this is doable. So they played 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday. So Thursday I bet every hole, made $360. So for the next 3 weeks, I was like, I can't win every hole, or they'll quit betting. So I would hit one in the ocean or something on purpose, but I got good at golf. And they taught me into playing into their club championship. And I had to establish a residency over there. I had to take a driver's test that I failed 3 times. They got different traffic lights over there than we do here. Some of them had to do with sugar cane and pineapple trucks, and I had no idea. We didn't have that in Alabama, so I failed the test.
Actually, sugar
3
cane
times.
and pineapple truck?
Yep. This
That's
arrow
crazy.
means pineapple trucks coming. You got to stop.
Oh,
If you're ever in Hawaii and there's an arrow pointing sideways, like we have on the turn signal, you can turn. That's usually for a pineapple truck. But there's no. I think the only pineapple farm left's on Oahu. So, but Maui used to be full of pineapple and sugarcane farms. So, but yeah, if you're over there driving and get pulled over because you did something wrong, you probably missed one of those arrows that was telling you could or could not go, because there was like an express lane is what it was.
For those trucks.
Just for those trucks, but you could drive it was like the 2-lane road, 4-lane road. Well, the outside lanes were for those trucks, but if no trucks were there, then everybody else could drive in those lanes. And so, if that arrow was red or green, you could keep going. But if it was red pointing, I don't even remember which way it's pointing now. You had to stop because the sugarcane truck was coming. They didn't stop. They just pulled out in the road, and I don't know how people didn't die from hitting sugarcane pineapple trucks. But anyway. Don't know how I got on that, but anyway, I kept practicing
They
golf,
obeyed the traffic laws.
and they taught me into playing in their club tournament. Well, I finished like 6th, so and I didn't know this part, but it qualified me for the Hawaiian GTL Open at the time. It's played for the Century Tournament. It's played PGA tournament now, Kapalua. So had to have a caddy and everything. My uncle's going to caddy for me. We get there the first day of the tournament. First hole, there's 1,000 people standing down the fairway. I thought, I'm going to kill one of these people. Well, there's there's apartments on the other side. I thought, well, I'd rather hit the apartments than I had those people. So I got to where I could control where I was hitting it pretty good, but I knew I didn't want to hit somebody first hole. So I bounced it off the top of those apartments, but it came back in the middle of the fairway. And I was good the rest of the day. Shot like 70. I think I shot 79 the first day, made the cut. Second day we played on a different course, the plantation course where the actual Century tournament is. Shot 76 that day, rained the tournament out. I was homesick, so I came home the next week, never finished the tournament. Was home about 3 weeks and get a letter from the Nike Tour, which is the Corn Ferry Tour now, and wanted me to try out and or come to the school or whatever. And, this is before the internet, and so it actually came in the mail, and I had to have I've got that thing put up somewhere, probably where that paper is. I got to know. I'll find it one day. But I've got that. I think it was like $10,000. They wanted to bring a sponsor, and I thought, well, this is just a money grab, but come to find out, it really wasn't. It was actually an invitation to. Not everybody got one, but I didn't go, and now I'm here.
Boom.
So yeah, but and so in 2003, 2003, my neck was hurting. I went to the chiropractor, and he noticed that the muscle between my thumb and my finger on that hand was gone, and So he's like, I'm going to send you to a neurologist. And I'm like, what for? And he said, well, I just got some concerns. I want to send you to a neurologist. So I went to this neurologist, and sitting in there, and he tells me to stand up on my tiptoes. And I mean, I was pretty athletic, pretty healthy, I thought. I couldn't stand on my tiptoes. He said, stand on your heels. I couldn't stand on my heels. He's like, oh, you may have something. We need to do some more tests on this. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Well, I went to another neurologist who a friend of mine worked for, who was an Indian guy from India. And I'm sitting at his table. Before he gets to me, he tells me I have ALS. You have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And he looks at his watch. He's like, it's 2003. You'll be dead by 2005. I'm like, oh okay. And Angie was sitting there. She kind of lost it and kind of upset me. And I don't know what all he said the rest of the day. He ordered a bunch more tests and all this and myelograms, what they call it, a nerve conduction study. He did one of those it's supposed to take an hour. After about 5 minutes, I said, no, you're not doing this anymore. I don't know if y'all ever had one of those done. They put these little tabs on your fingers and hit you with a stun gun up here on the top of your arm, see how long it takes electricity to get from one spot to the other.
Yeah, I'm out.
And she said, I said, no, you're kind of done doing that. And well, he came in, he said, I want to do one more thing. He takes this big long thing, looks like an IV, except the needle was about 6 inches long. And I had big biceps at that time. He sticks that thing down in my bicep and starts moving it round and round.
Wow.
And I'm like, no, this is over. Whatever this is, you're done. And he said, well, you got to do this. And I said, look, you go on back in there to your little golden fat man sitting on your desk and say your prayers. And I'll go talk to mine, and we'll see who's here.
Oh my gosh!
I did. I told him. And if
Dang
knew,
right, boy,
if I knew where
from
the guy was
Alabama.
now, I'd walk back in his office with a big white robe on, boom, and just that's what 15, 19 years borrowed time that I'm
Yeah, man.
supposed to be dead. So
Yeah.
take that, Doctor. Never mind.
Yeah.
Kevorkian.
Yeah, Kevorkian.
Yeah, that sounds like
Well,
a working.
I went to like 4 other specialists, and they would look at that chart from that first guy, and they would be like, "Well, we can't overrule that." And I was like, whatever.
So tell the story about how like this thing started going up.
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay, sorry.
So, Angie.
Patience.
Yeah, patience, Mark.
I love it.
So, Angie, my wife, she actually just retired as the PE teacher at Asheville Elementary. Been there for She's taught for 26 years, so she's been there for 25 years. And I think it was Deb Watson who she was teaching with. I think that's who gave her this information. But she said, you need to go see this herb specialist in Trussville. And, I'd seen all these doctors. I said, what's it going to hurt? So at the time, I couldn't move my arms, just kind of hang down. Couldn't really do anything with them. And so we pulled up to this place, and I tell my wife, I was like, look, I don't know anything about these herb specialists, but if this is somebody with dreads, the matted hair that
They smell funny.
smells funny to start some kind of psychic stuff, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this. I ain't doing that. Well, I go in there, and it's this real nice woman. And Ridge, this had been a year. This was a year after I'd been diagnosed, and Ridge was just walking around. Like, he just got to where he could walk. So him and Angie are kind of sitting in that lobby, waiting room, whatever. And I'm sitting in there, and this woman's like, she's sitting over here with Clint. It's on the floor. And she opens this hand, my right hand, and she put an herb in my hand. And it just happened to be the first one she put in my hand was alfalfa. Well, I ain't been able to raise my arm. My arm just dangling. Well, she picks my arm up like this and does a pull-up on my arm, sitting on the floor. And I was like, what is going on here? And I didn't tell her what the doctors said or anything. So she goes through like 100 herbs, and like 10 of them she said I needed. Well, she got through with her little test, and I didn't tell her how many times she did a pull-up on my arm. And she's like sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor and just do a pull-up just grab my arm and do a pull-up. And I was like, what? It's unbelievable. And so I told Angie, I said, come here and watch this. And we were going on the way to vacation. We were going to the beach. We stopped by there first. Well, she put another herb in my hand and did that. And Angie's like, wow. And she said, well, Ridge is running around in the other room. So she goes back in there. And I finally tell that lady, I was like, look, so the doctors told me I'm going to be dead by 2005. And that was like 2004, maybe when I was seeing her. And she got right in my face, and she pointed in my face, and she said, do you think God lets you have that little boy in there for you to be dead in a year? And I was just like, hey, that's
That's all you
You're
need.
right.
Take that, golden
That's
fat man.
Yeah, I know. I know.
That's a statement.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, it is.
I guess from that point on, I was just like, and actually, when I first got diagnosed, I laid in the bed and shook for 4 days because I thought I was going to die, and I wasn't going to get to see Rich grow up. I wasn't going to get to. I was going to miss everything because they told me to prepare my family for my death and be sure my affairs were in order, and all this stuff. And so, but at that point, when she told me that, I'm like, yeah, you're right. It ain't up to me. It ain't up to the doctors. It ain't up to anybody when I'm going to die. That's it's up to somebody else, and it ain't nobody here on this earth. So, 19 years later, that's kind of still the
So
point
you
of where
still
I'm
like
at,
on like a regimen of
so,
stuff that you take and stuff?
Well, the same lady at school told Angie about well, actually no, we were in the Farmers Federation at the time, and I mean I could talk for hours. There's so much other
Go
stuff.
for
There's
it.
so
No,
much
that's
other
go
good.
for it, man.
There's so
We
much
love
other
it.
stuff that has went on. So me and Joey Cash actually owned an electrical business when this happened, and we did all the work ourselves because I mean we had some really good guys working with us, but still, if we get a call a year later, hey, our house burnt down because this was done, then we kind of wanted to be able to say, well, we were there and we knew this is what happened. So we got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore, and so I sold that out to Joey, and Angie wanted some flowers one day, and I went to the greenhouse to buy the flowers and came back with 6 greenhouses. And so that's how we got into that. And so I was there working one day in the greenhouse, and this guy showed up, and he's like, hey, we need you to sign up for this young farmer stuff. And I'm like, okay, what is this? And he said, it's through Alpha, the Alabama Farmers Federation, and we need you to sign up for this. And so, okay, well, we signed up for it, and he's telling me, you got to go to this big banquet, and there's really no chance you'll win it. You got to be in the top 6 farm families in the state, and this is your first year. We just want you to go to experience because we really need St. Clair County to start doing this. So we went, and well, actually, I went by myself. Angie was still at home with Ridge, and COVID just been born, so you didn't really drag them up there. And after that first night, the first interview, they tell me, hey, you're probably going to be in the top 6, so we need your family. So I call Angie. She drives to Huntsville, and sure enough, we were one of the top 6 farm families in the state. And a year after that, I can't remember who was doing the young farmers in the county at the time, but Carrie could probably tell us. I don't remember who it was. I think it was the people from Raglan. I can't remember their name. Older couple. I can't remember their name. But anyway, I wound up with it somehow. I was doing the young farmer stuff. Well, during this time when we had kids, they were young, and we're like, okay, well, if I'm really going to die at some point, we made a bucket list of what we'd like to do. We'd like to do this for the kids. We'd like to do this, that. And, well, we were making good money with her teaching and me working with Joey, but when that kind of I had to get out of that. It was kind of a struggle there for a while. And we made this list, and the list was we wanted to take our kids to Hawaii one time. We'd love to take them back to Hawaii. We went there on our honeymoon, and we'd love to take them there. We'd love to take them to Disney World. But money, though, there's just no way we can do this. Well, 2 years into this young farmers thing, I'm the chairman of the young farmers in St. Clair County. I'm sitting in the Westbrook. Our kids started going to Westbrook. Ridge was in like 4K or something, and I'm sitting in the parking lot there one day waiting to pick him up. And Noel Weiss walks up to me, the same guy who I hit that ball off top the fence. Noel, if you're watching this, he comes up to me.
2
and says,
zingers, by the way. Now
says,
3 technically.
Yeah, he says, Rob. And I said, yeah. And he says, what are you doing? And I said, hang on, my phone just started ringing. I picked my phone up. I said, I'll get to you in just a second. Just give me a second. It was Brandon Moore, who was over the young farmers in the state. He says, Rob, we need you to do a community project with your young farmers program and turn it into the state. Just take a short video and what you're doing and turn it into the state. I said, okay. Well, Noel was standing there, and Noel was over the boys ranch, the Big Oak Boys Ranch. And I said, hey, Noel, how about we do a garden out at the Big Oak Boys Ranch? Our young farmers group needs to do something, a community project. Let's do that. Oh, okay. So we get to talking about that, set it up. We go out, we plant a garden just like they do on Chandler Mountain. We put the plastic down and planted corn, and they wanted okra. I said, we want a lot of okra. And I said, no, it don't take a lot of okra. You have to pick this stuff every day. And he's like, no, we love okra.
You talking about it? You did it at the boys' ranch or the girl?
The Big Oak Boys Ranch.
The boys, okay.
In Etowah County. But our St. Clair County young farmers did it. Anyway, we planted one row of that okra is about 100 yards. And we planted like 4, those rows of okra, or the rows of that plastic lace, about 2-3 feet across. Mm-hmm. We planted like 4 across at a time and about a foot apart. So there's like 1,000 okra plants.
That's crazy.
Well, and then we planted corn, everything. They didn't have to buy vegetables at all that year. Well, the state finds out what we're doing, and they bring their TV crew up there and film it, do a big documentary on it. And I get a call a week later that says, "Hey, Rob, what are y'all going to be doing in February?" I don't know. It's like, well, we need you to go to the National Trade Show and present your community project. It was #1 in the country. I said, okay, where is it? He said, Hawaii.
Yeah.
God provided.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So they sent us to Hawaii for a week, paid.
Yes, sir.
And the only thing we had to pay for was, our food and what we wanted to do. We took the kids to Pearl Harbor. Y'all
Yeah.
never seen that. Standing
Yeah.
on top of the
That's
USS
awesome.
Arizona, something now.
That is.
It's hard to not get choked up standing there.
Oh, yeah, man.
Got a funny story about that too, though. Yeah. Yeah.
Go for it.
Oh, I hope Angie's watching this. So,
She probably will.
Yeah.
oh, I know she will. So we're sitting in this theater over there at Pearl Harbor. They show you this video before they take you out to Arizona, and it has the live stuff of everything happening. The ship sinking, the planes coming in, and we're sitting in this theater, and it's me, Angie, Reggie, and Cove, and we're the only non-Asian people sitting there. Everybody else is Japanese or Chinese or something. And you know where I'm going with this?
No, but
So-
I can only imagine.
So my 5-year-old Ridge is sitting there and he's going, Daddy, he's pulling on my shirt. Daddy, Daddy. I was like, what? I thought we killed all these people. No. He's like, oh, no. And he says it loud enough, everybody in there, oh.
Oh, my
yeah,
gosh.
So, so I don't remember really what happened after that.
Yeah, I would've
somehow we
blacked
didn't
out.
get knocked off the boat that takes you out to the Arizona. But,
I wonder what
Yeah.
those people thought.
oh,
Like,
there.
okay.
I just hope they didn't.
Speak English?
Maybe they
I don't know.
didn't. Maybe they
Yeah,
didn't understand what he said.
whatever they speak, yeah. But we got off that ship when we got done. We come back and there's a museum there, and we're walking through that museum, and it's kind of crazy because we went to church with a guy on Chandler Mountain. His name's O.M. Rogers, and they have pictures of like all of the Pacific battles and General MacArthur and all this. Well, there's a picture of General MacArthur there in the newspaper in his Jeep, and it lists General MacArthur and his driver, O.M. Rogers. He's from Still, Alabama.
What?
Drove General
That's
MacArthur around the whole Pacific War. And we get back to church, and I'm like, O.M., did you drive the Jeep for General MacArthur? He said, how do you know that? I was like, well,
You're in
I
a
saw
museum.
your wall on a museum at Pearl Harbor. And his son, Clark Rogers, y'all may know Clark, he wasn't going to church with us at the time, but at the time we had these joint singings like every month where Mount Lebanon Church on the mountain would come to our church.
Yeah.
So Clark was there one night, and I was talking to Clark about it, and he said, Dad, I don't really like to talk about that. We don't really tell that many people. Yeah, he drove General MacArthur around the whole. It's like, man, this small world, in Hawaii. And
That's
see this.
amazing.
That's
But,
crazy.
so, yeah, we got sent to Hawaii that year. We stayed. They paid for a week, and I think we stayed like 3 days after that. And we stayed right across the street from Waikiki Beach. Got there on the Tuesday. They closed the beach on Thursday for renovations. We had to take a bus to the beach, and I mean, I could spit on the beach from the hotel room. We couldn't go to it because
That's
it was closed
crazy.
for renovation. So we had to go to the beach at my grandmother could tell you where they filmed Blue Hawaii with Elvis, Hanama Bay or something like that.
Yeah, Hanama Bay, yeah.
And so yeah, that's where we had to go to the beach. If we wanted to go to the beach, had to take a bus ride. And so a year later, I'm sitting over here in the Alpha office, and at the time, Roland St. John had gotten diagnosed with a type of cancer, and he had to take a leave from the president's job and of the County Farmers Federation. But so they put me in charge of it, and I'm sitting there at the table one night, and they was like, Rob, we got to do this. We got you have to get points. The county wants these points. You get this award at the end of the year, like a gold award, if your county does everything on this list. Well, we need you to go to the National Young Farmers Convention again. And I was like, okay. So where is it? Disney World.
Let's go.
Send us to Disney World. All expenses paid for a week. All we had to pay for was park tickets. Didn't have to pay for food this time because there was a restaurant in the hotel. It was a Mexican restaurant that my kids happened to love, and they had chicken fingers, and
There
so
you
we
go.
ate there 3 meals a day. And it was part of our room plan, and so
Nice.
yeah, God provided both.
Absolutely.
So the top 2 things on my bucket list. There's only one that hadn't happened, and it doesn't look like it's ever going to happen. So I may live forever. The top one was to see one of my kids score a touchdown in school, And my oldest son played football, but my youngest one doesn't. So I hope I don't live forever, but I guess I might. 'Cause the other things on the bucket list have come true.
Yeah.
That.
Watch it be a grandkid.
Hey, that'll work.
Hey, that'll work.
That'll work.
That'll be it.
That'll work.
Well, I guess with Cove though, I mean, you know, him as good as he is at golf, that's going to be his.
It's yeah. I've been, you know, I tell all, especially I go to a church and speak somewhere. I know I've mentioned Westbrook a lot. I work at Westbrook and I coach golf and football there. I've been there for coaching for 7 years, but my kids have been there for 17 years. So, and I sub there some and just do kind of what I wanted to do to help around the school. What I want to do, what they want me to do around the school.
No, Rob is
So-
the man. He does what he wants
But,
to do,
you know,
baby.
If I tell everybody, you know, and when I had this one lady, I'm speaking at it was actually the woman, the herb specialist. She has this big conference every year, and I was one of the speakers at that one year, and I really went into the Christian part of it, the details, like everything God has done for us, and you know how none of this would have been possible if you know if I tell people I chased the money. I knew I always wanted to coach, and I knew I probably should have coached, but I was making a lot more money than I would doing the electrical stuff than I would have if I was coaching, and so you know God just kind of stomped his foot, and knocked me down a notch or two, and really the only thing I can do now is coach.
Yeah.
So, but I was telling this group, you know, how the Lord had done all this for me, and this woman stood up. I'll take questions at the end, and I asked if anybody had any questions, and this woman stood up. And this is another thing, it was God speaking through me, I guess, because I've never even thought this before, but it just came out, and I've used it ever since then. But she stood up and she said, "How can you thank God for all this and the way you are right now? I mean, how can you say that?" And I said, "Well, maybe God gave this to me because they knew I can handle it and you couldn't, and so you don't have it." I
Yeah.
was like, "Ooh."
Booyah. Booyah.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I use that all the time. You know, people ask me that. You know, how do you feel about that? Well, you know, I guess I was strong enough in my faith to know I can handle it. And you know, there's people out there that couldn't. So
Well, you have to be able to look at it from both walks of life. I mean, there is obviously a negative
yeah.
aspect, but if you don't look for the positive, then it's going to be a terrible thing, and you can't use it as you have.
yeah, you can. I tell people like that. There's a cancer patient, and I won't mention who, but Mark knows who it is. He recently got diagnosed with cancer back during football season, and he came to me one day, and we were just sitting and talking about stuff, and I was like, "Look, Coach," I said, "I look at it this way." I said, "Yeah, it's bad. What I have is bad. What you have is bad. But you know, God is giving me a platform, and I use that platform. And from what I can tell about you, you use that platform too. And as of right now, he's cancer free again. He's been through it twice.
Yeah.
And he does share that story. And I tell people all the time, you know, if just because you've been told, okay, you got cancer or you've got ALS or you're going to die in a month, nobody can tell you you're going to die in a month.
Right.
If you want to sit at home and think for a month, I'm going to die, you're probably going to die in a month.
Yeah.
But if you, I mean, I get up every day and I look forward to going up there and I look forward to coaching the golf team. And you know, we have summer workouts start June 10th. I can't wait for summer workouts to start.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm going to do till then because Angie's retired. She's at home now. She ain't doing the summer program anymore. I got to go somewhere.
Amen.
She probably heard that too.
Yeah. Well, she's going to be going to summer workouts too because she's going to be coaching too. So,
Well, there you go.
but yeah, it's just a lot. I think any diagnosis or anything bad going on in your life is all a mindset, and that can go back to right up there on Ken Logan Stadium and in that field house.
Yeah.
That's where I learned you don't give up.
Yeah.
You got to kill.
Yeah, that's a lesson that teaches.
Oh yeah, you got
People
to
that are not involved in athletics. And,
don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah.
never done it before.
You got to kill
That's-
me to beat me.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I'm quitting doing. I'll have to die before I.
That's one of the lessons
Quit.
it teaches. Sure
Oh, yeah.
does.
Yeah.
But you know, you're talking about you know being able to
Got
handle.
my tooth out too.
Hey, just 3 of us left.
We're in Asheville, so you missed tooth.
You talk about, you know, you being able to handle it and everything, but like y'all don't understand how many people, especially like kids that Rob's touched their lives, man. It's unreal like how many kids love Rob. People, adults, everybody loves Rob McHugh. Maybe not everybody, but I would say 99.8%.
The vast majority.
Yeah.
Well, I mean-
Absolutely. And he's modest. He ain't gonna say this that 2 times in the last year this man's won a state championship in golf as a coach and has been the golf coach of the year in Alabama. So,
who do you think I get advice from about coaching golf?
I'm sure.
I can't even coach my team half the time because Nick's over there picking my brain. On something.
He's not wrong. We talk a lot at practice.
That's one thing, people, and he's not the only one. Like, there's been college coaches ask us, what do you do? How are y'all so good all the time? And I know, and Mark can attest to this now that he's at a private school, but we recruit. Y'all recruit this kid. Y'all, no, we have the same.
Yeah, we do.
We have the same rules everybody else has. We can't. I can't call your kid and say, "Hey, we'd like you to come to Westbrook." You do that, that's a violation.
Right.
I'll get fired. So
We got what we got, though.
Yeah, I mean, we do have kids that move in, but they move in not really. Some of them move in for sports, but mainly they move in because
They're moving into the ranch.
Yeah, they move to the ranch, or they move in to have a. Their kids can have chapel every day, or chapel once a week, and a Bible class every day.
Right.
And they're taught about God in every class, not just Bible, but all the teachers up there have to have a certain code they have to go by, and I'm not saying that it's I'm sure it's not the best school, but for our kids and for our family, it's been an absolute. I mean, not knocking Asheville, but and my wife taught here, but we sent our kid. We sent Cove up, or Ridge, our oldest, in 3K. And just because babysitter was going to cost just as much as the 3K. And they got taught something, and they got lunch. So by the end of that year, he'd met so many friends, and we'd met so many people.
It's hard to pull them out.
We were like, and the longer it went on, we were just like, we sent Cove up there, and it was the same way. And like, you want to understand, like, in Cove's class, Cade moved in, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And there might be 4 other kids besides Cade that have moved in there that I would say that Cove has not been in class with since he was in 3K.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple from Glencoe that have came in, but for the core of that class has been together since they were in 3 and 4K.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like there's just, people coming out of the woodwork to come to Westbrook. But people always ask, how do y'all keep this going? Like, it started long before I got there. There was a Misty Fairchild who started the golf. Well, it wasn't her that started it, but she took over it in like 2010 or 11, and that was one of the first years they went to the state tournament.
Sydney's mama?
Yeah, Sydney's mom.
Yeah,
and Sydney's gonna be just like her, so it'll all be good in the next year or two. But she started the train rolling, and we just kind of kept it going. My oldest son, played for Misty, and the stuff they do at practice. If you come watch us today, it looks just like it did 15 years ago. We played for a state championship at Westbrook in golf for 15 straight years. And it's because we don't cut any of the young guys. We just had 28 kids try out for golf Friday. Well, we didn't cut any 7th and 8th grade. Kids are coming out of the 6th grade into the 8th grade, or into the 7th grade. We didn't cut any of them. We didn't cut any 8th graders the first time they come out. We didn't cut any of them. Just so we can watch them for a year. Mm-hmm. If they're athletic, they'll be able to play golf. All we try to do is if we can get them started in 7th and 8th grade, we try to improve them 10 shots a year. Well, if they're in the hundreds, just say it's one of those little kids, I think the worst score we kept was a 60. No, it was the older kid. The younger kid was 70 something. Well, that's 140 if you double it. Well, I know in 5 years, double that. If you're 10 shots every 4 years, then he's going to be around 100. Mm-hmm. Well, now some of those kids shot a lot better than that. Well, they're in the 90s now. In 4 years, they're going to be in the 70s. That's going to be your ones that are playing. Mm. And if you can just work with them, they listen and they're coachable, we'll keep them. Yeah. And that's basically how we wind up with our top 4 or 5 every year. And for y'all that don't understand how the golf works, you play 5 kids and top 4 scores count. Well, if you got 5 kids that are shooting around 80 or under, you got a chance.
Absolutely.
And so that's all we try to do. We start them young, and if we say they're, and we don't really cut a lot after. If they make it 1 year, I think we had to cut a couple this year that we'd had before that didn't make it. But
we usually just, as long as they show interest in it the second year, because you get out there, you got to tote that bag. If you don't have a cart, you got to tote that bag all 9 holes and 18 in some cases, and a lot of kids like, what, this ain't for me. Like, it's hot. It's
probably. I mean, it's an individual sport. It's not an individual sport, but it definitely has an individual component to it. but the biggest thing is you're playing yourself. And
Yeah.
You're playing the course
Every time.
Yeah.
And there are some kids that can't handle that, the mental fatigue that brings with it. Because we all know, we've all played golf. You go out there, well, the four of us, you've been on a golf course, but we've played golf.
Yeah, that's another story. You want to go into that story?
But no, yeah.
I won a tournament one time.
How many? Never mind.
Learned a scramble trick that day. Thank you, Ricky Phillips and Ernie Bagley.
Ernie Bagley, yep, shout him out. But you have to compete with yourself, and you have to get better. And it's like, okay, you hit one great tee shot on a par 3 like that. Jim Brandon was actually telling me the story. First time he ever went golfing was at Twin Bridges. Played terrible. He got to hole 8, and he's way up there playing from the whites. And I forgot what club he told me he hit, but he hit it like 5 feet from the pin.
There's always one shot that brings you back.
Shot.
You're like, man, I
it.
hate this. I'm never going to do it again. You get up there and you hit one shot. You say, you know what? I can do this.
Yes.
Well, then he birdied it. He hit a 5-foot putt, and he said, I think I double bogeyed every hole after that the rest of that day. But he said that one birdie shot got me hooked. And no joke, like he'll play the rest of this summer. He'll probably play 10, 12 more times, and he'll play by himself.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about golf. It's a lifelong sport.
And 90% of the high school golf is a game of 6 inches. It's the 6 inches between your ears.
Yep.
It's all mental. And like you were just talking about, these young kids, they're going to go out there next year, and when we start practicing, they're going to play terrible, and they're going to want to quit. But what are you laughing at, Mark?
They make each other laugh.
They're going to want to quit.
I swear.
But then, like you said,
They figure they
By
by the
Get
time
on
they're
your phone. Get on your
graduating,
phone.
they're mad because one hole is killing them.
Yeah.
They'll play good except for one hole. It's just it's been reversed. When they first started, they couldn't get anything right on any holes. They might have one good hole, but by the time they're juniors and seniors, they get mad because one hole ruined their round. They like my son this year. He's played really good all year. Shot like, I think his best score was 74 in sub-state or sectionals one.
Yeah.
When he turns around the next week in one shot or one hole, he has a 9 on it and winds up shooting 81.
Yep.
It's one hole.
Yeah.
And
Game will mess with you.
yeah.
Yeah, it will.
So from a selfish standpoint of this podcast, how do you create the interest in the younger kids? Because it seems like we have a hard time getting the younger kids to come out because everybody looks at it as like an old man sport. Right?
They went to the state championship 15 years in a row.
That helps.
Well, that helps.
obviously.
And two, we have all of our other sports all of our other spring sports on campus are so much like, there's 40 kids on the track team.
Yeah.
There's 30 kids on the soccer team.
Yeah.
And then between baseball and softball, there's not much left at a 4A school.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, that's
Stability.
That's kind of
Stability.
Yeah. We only had one this year. We'll have 3 this year that played soccer. J.D. Barron played soccer, and he's really good. He was the best soccer player they had, and they made it to the Final Four in soccer. And but he played golf, and so what we would do with him is we'd work it out with the soccer coach. We play a qualifier, at least one every week during the season, and that's how we figure out who our top 5 is. Well, J.D. would have to come to that. We'd let him go to soccer practice the rest of the time, but he had to come to a qualifier. He had to come to a match. We were playing a match, and he had to come to the tournament. Well, JD's the type of kid who would go to soccer practice, and if there was daylight left, he came to the golf course. He went on the weekends to the golf course because he knew, and they all know, if you're going to play here, you're going to have to keep playing.
Yeah.
So, like, they're playing today. Most of them are playing somewhere right now. So, they it's just it's a year-round thing with them. They'll compete with each other year-round. And with the soccer kids, we've never had, as long as they come to the qualifiers and don't miss something that's, a tournament or a match, we've been okay with it. And it's worked out so far. And I don't think we didn't have any track kids that played golf this year. It was just mainly soccer, and we'll have 3 soccer players next year. But
we've had baseball kids before play. And
baseball's
it's
kind
just
of, we
kinda in
can't.
between. It's odd.
It's hard to, you can't hardly deal. We got one kid this year that's going to try that, but we told him there's really the baseball coach is not going to let you miss baseball practice
Right.
to come to a golf tournament or a match. And this kid's really good, and he's just an 8th grader, but he's good.
The amount of kids I have that graduate and then they'll come back to me and they'll say, Coach Wilson, I wish I wish I'd played golf. I wish I'd played golf. Because they find it because they can't do anything else after they graduate.
Right.
And exactly. And then they find it, and then they fall in love with it, and then I wish I'd started this sooner and learned.
It's the sport of former athletes.
Yeah.
Because once your football days are over, there's no more football.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like you can play football, like you can go out in the backyard and play till you're maybe 30 before you're like, you know what, this ain't worth it anymore. Maybe basketball till you're 35, 40. You know what, I ain't worried about this anymore. But golf, you can play all the way. I mean, shoot, there's been people die on the golf course. I mean, you play it all the way up until you die.
Well, to answer your question,
That's every episode.
So to answer your question about how those younger kids, me subbing a lot. I don't sub I do PE a lot, and that's kindergarten that's actually 3K through 6th grade, and girls are who we really have a problem with coming out. We'll have enough to have another team this year, but we'll have 4. We had 3. Well, we had 4 last year. We had 4 this year and 4 last year. But the boys, it's just, I don't know. I pick at those 6th grade boys all the time.
Right.
Like they all know. They like me, I guess.
Yeah.
And some of them, and I'm just brutally honest with a couple of them this year that, hey, Coach Rob, I'm going to try out for golf this year. And I've seen a couple of them, out there. So it probably wouldn't be good for you to try out. Well, then the ones that are decent, think it's kind of funny.
Right.
And then so they're like, well, I'm going to try out one. And I said, well, you need to try out. Or you need to try out. And even the girls, I told every girl in the school, I don't care if 6th grade through seniors, y'all need to play golf.
That's what we do. Yeah.
Well, 4 of them came out and they're all young. Like there's a 6th grader, a 7th grader, or a 6th grader, 8th grader, and 2 9th graders. But the 6th and 7th graders are really good. They came to tryouts the other day too, and they're really good. And the good thing about that is our girls golf team, moved back down to 1A, 3A, so they got a chance this year. They had no chance in that. Like me and Nick were talking about, we're in the boys got moved to 4A because we been punished for winning. So we won it the last 2 years, so we're going to 4A, and that's the SEC West of golf in high school. I don't care what classification.
It's insane.
It's unbelievable.
What we have to do to get out of sectionals and then get out of sub-state.
We'll have to shoot 300 to get out of sub-state.
Yeah.
It's going to be 475s or better.
It's crazy.
Hey, what do you have to do to renovate a beach?
That's a great question. I was wondering that myself earlier.
What do they have to shut it down for?
You have to pull the sand out of the
you pull the sand out of the ocean
to replace the sand that's
like
washed
they do
out.
down there in Gulf Shores. They have a big barge sitting out there in the water pumping sand out of the ocean back up on the beach.
Big dredger.
How long do they have to shut it down?
They shut it down until March. It was a month.
To pull sand down.
Yeah.
For a month.
Just
Have you seen the pictures of Waikiki Beach? There's like these big rectangle things that go out in the water made out of rock. They did it like back in the 1800s, early 1900s, so people could swim without having to getting bit by a shark. Well, that's Waikiki Beach. That's where they were doing all that. That whole stretch of the most famous beach in Hawaii was shut down for a month when we got there.
Hey, you were talking about Hanauma Bay earlier. I saw a woman die on Hanauma Bay.
Oh, gosh.
What?
Yeah, I did. Well, Alabama, we were,
Elaborate.
Yeah, we were on a, overseas trip to play football at Hawaii, and we had a little off time in between, so that me and a bunch of teammates went down to Hanauma Bay, and we were going down to do some snorkeling, and I just see this crowd of people rushing around, and they're dragging this old lady out of the water, and they start doing resuscitation on her, and did it for we just stood there watching it for like 10 minutes, and couldn't get nothing. And then the ambulance back down. They put her on a stretcher, throw her up in there. They're still working on her when they wheel her out. And I pray that she made it. But I just feel like,
She didn't.
I know that sea turtle that day was really friendly. I mean, it was a magical day of snorkeling for me. But I was really.
This is a family show, Mark.
But I was bummed out, dude. It bummed me out so bad. I was just standing there just praying. I was praying for her.
Sea turtle been awesome.
Talking to Crush out there.
And I had no idea. I had no idea about the Hawaii stuff, all that. Like you went over to work and everything. So it was your aunt?
It was my grandmother's sister. It was my great aunt, I guess.
Okay.
She.
And how'd she get to Hawaii? Well, was she originally from here?
She's originally from here. She married her husband, was a marine biologist, and he got transferred from South Alabama to teach at the University of Hawaii, and they moved over there, and they got divorced, and she wound up marrying, the guy's name was Charlie Dapetan, Hawaiian. He's full-blooded Hawaiian. And, so then moved to Maui, and I was there for a month and a half.
And what business was he in?
He had retired from the sugarcane mill. He was like a CEO of a sugarcane mill.
Golly, because you was playing with some high-dollar folks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were.
God,
The
man.
CEO of Honda?
Honda.
And then who was the
Retired.
other guy?
Did he
Cedric-
drive a Honda?
Oh, I don't know. Probably. Cedric Sabalitz's dad. I can't remember his first name. I
His
called him
dad.
Mr. Sabalis. I can't remember what
Golly.
his name was.
Daggum, man.
Cedric played for the Lakers.
Yeah.
And, it was...
And then
Tony
she was in
Sabalas?
charge of the...
She was in charge of all
Recreation.
recreation
And
on
you-
Maui, on
goodness.
the whole island. Like beach parks, city parks. They had a city golf course.
You just stumbled into every bit of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the tour, play, that tournament, and then...
There's actually
crazy.
a beach park over there. I'll have to look it up to find the name of it, but it's right beside the airport in Kahului. They lived in a town called Waluku, and there was a beach park there. On that side of the island, the water was kind of deep. Where that beach park was, well, the grass kept dying, and it's because that side of the island didn't get a lot of rain. Well, she had this guy come in, and I was in her office this day for some reason, and this guy came in, and she called his name. She said, "Hey," she said, "I'll be with you in just a minute." She said, "Rob, this guy's here he's going to do our irrigation system down at such and such beach park." I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll leave y'all alone." She said, "No, stay here. You've worked on those farms on Chandler Mountain. Just stay here and listen to this." So this guy gives this spiel on the irrigation system, and he leaves, and I just kind of didn't say anything, and I think I'm gonna go now. She said, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "I don't think that's gonna work." Well, she said, "Draw me up something." So on a piece of copy paper, I drew out like what size, start from maybe, I don't remember what, 1 inch line down to half-inch line, and we just kind of did it like you would do the irrigation on the mountain, and then right before I was leaving, she said, "The city council approved your plan. Can you oversee them putting in this irrigation system at this beach park?" I said, "Sure," but I got homesick, like I said, and left the next week. But they put that system in that beach park over there.
That's wild.
By
Man.
there. And the thing is, it was, I didn't know it. I do remember that the parts were like, we had to look up the parts and had to do it in the catalog because they didn't have internet back then,
Right.
So it was Rainbird stuff, and having Rainbirds in steel now,
Yeah.
They build stuff in steel.
And that design is put in all over the world now.
No, it's at that one beach park, probably just because it was,
Somebody's going to dig that up and say, what in the redneck hell is this?
Hey, it's the little things that popped out of the ground, Like this guy was putting in the stands. It was going to be like we have on the football field, that just shoots right out, and like you don't want that. You want the things that pop out of the ground.
Yeah.
And so, okay, find me those. Well, okay. That's pretty much what it was. It was this
Pop-up sprinkler system.
pop-up sprinkler system in your beach park instead of having 4 or 5 big
Put it on a timer.
Spigots.
Just
big
automatically.
spigots standing up over
Yeah.
there spraying everybody in the park. I can't read that. Of course, I guess it could have been a water park then. They could have played in the water.
That's
but-
true. Because that's all the rage now.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that was
Did you type your notes as a kid?
He can read it.
Sorry. Recommendations.
I write in different fonts.
Oh, okay.
I write
Fonts.
in different fonts. Yeah.
Fonts. I'm glad you know what.
I do.
I'm glad you know what font
I
is.
do large uppercase with smaller uppercase. And then for speed, less accuracy but speed,
Yeah.
lowercase.
I just say I finally, Mark's mentioned I've won 2 state championships as a coach, 4 runner-ups, but I finally made it to the big time when I made it on the show. Finally made
Trust
it.
me, you haven't.
It's the pinnacle, boys.
Look, hey, well, I mean, you say that. We've had James Spann on.
Yeah, we've had James Spann on. There's that.
We're kind of a big deal.
Can I say this before we get to this next part?
Yeah.
I as the one of the newest members of the St. Clair County Hall of Fame, my next nomination, Rob McHugh.
Rob McHugh. That's
I
actually a
promise
good idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rob
I don't
McHugh.
know if I accomplished not enough in St. Clair County to do that.
Well, I didn't either.
Well, hey, you had 10
What did I do?
RBIs your senior year.
I led the team, baby.
Yeah, you won
What did I
3
do?
games
No,
in
won
3 years.
games, 3 years. We were terrible at baseball.
I mean, I couldn't even make it to state and track.
But baseball had
I was
been
terrible.
gone for a
I wasn't
while
that great at
before
golf.
you come in, before y'all started
Yeah.
back up, right?
Mediocre
That's when
at
y'all started everything
basketball.
back up. Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
even play baseball my senior year. I just played
Star.
football, and I wasn't even that good.
You were a star.
I think it's the things that people from this county accomplish. You know,
Yeah.
not everybody just does everything in St. Clair, man. But what you've accomplished in your life is amazing to me, and like the people you've led, man, like the life that you've led, like your family, everything, man. Everything about you is what people need to look up to. 'Cause
Amen.
You're a phenomenal person,
Amen.
and if somebody like you can't get in the St. Clair County Hall of Fame, I denounce. I denounce it. I'll tear it off.
Please, actually,
I
rip your
appreciate
And I'm not
it.
going to rip my shirt.
Okay.
But
Nah,
Let me go.
appreciate it.
So, recommendations. You want to start us off? What you got to recommend?
This new girl band, country music. They're going to be at the June Jam. I've been listening to some of their stuff. The Castellos. They're out of Georgia. And also Old Dominion. They're going to be at the June Jam. And I never really listened to none of their stuff.
They're pretty good.
But I downloaded. I looked up their
God bless
top 10 streams. And I loaded. I played a little bit of each one of those. And I picked out my 8 favorite ones. And I loaded them on my playlist. Been listening to that. It's pretty good.
where's that going
I'm
to be?
getting used to it.
What dates?
Fort Payne, June Jam.
June 1st.
June 1st.
June
They're
1st.
going to be there. And those are the only 2 people that's going to be there I wasn't really familiar with. So I've been listening to some of their stuff, so I'm going to recommend Old Dominion and Castellos.
All right. Memory Lane.
Memory Lane, that's a good song. I just listened to that on the way up here.
I
That's
like
a good
that.
one.
I like their
Yeah.
song. I like that song.
Snapback, listen to that one too.
If I could buy a house on Memory Lane.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Pretty good concept for a song.
I got my recommendation right here. A kind dark chocolate, nuts, and sea salt bar. But you have to be listening to Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone while you're eating
Oh my gosh.
it. When I leave here, that's what I'm doing.
This is actually really good. I
Yeah,
like
they are
these.
good.
They're really good.
I've not had a bad one of those. They've got
Yeah.
sea salt and caramel. They got dark chocolate. They got all kinds of stuff.
That's
It's
what we
really
make
good.
our golfers eat. Every 3 holes, they have to take a bite of something. It's
Yeah.
one of those or a cracker
Yeah.
or something.
Mine's gonna be. So they're kind of. I'm not even gonna explain that. Never mind. Tango in the Night. The Tango in the Night deluxe extended album from the 2017 remaster by Fleetwood Mac. Originally came out in 1987.
What are we
Hey, my
doing
daughter
here?
told me that in class y'all were watching the Fleetwood Mac videos, Silver Springs. And
We watched the Silver Landslide. We watched that music video. We watched.
I was like, yes, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love Fleetwood Mac.
I'm a Fleetwood Mac missionary. I'm on a mission to spread the love that is Fleetwood Mac to the younger
They're
generations.
excellent, man.
Yeah.
And so versatile. So
Yeah,
dynamic.
very versatile.
It's insane how great they were.
Like Tango in the Night is definitely like an 80s pop, more 80s pop rock album compared to like Rumors.
You would
and-
want to listen to something like that.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
you're the same guy that likes Daft Punk. So
Yeah,
Daft
but
Punk.
I mean I also like Rolling
no,
Stones.
top
and-
2 bands of all time, Daft Punk.
Yeah,
fan.
yeah, I love Daft Punk. He's judging me real hard right now.
Very bad.
It
Also,
takes all kinds to make up this world. Y'all know that.
also X-Men '97, great show. Just got done with it. You got to watch it, dude. It's freaking amazing.
I've started it.
What is it on?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's freaking awesome.
It's,
Is
it's
it
an exact.
animated?
Yeah, it's an
Animated.
exact
Okay.
continuation of the old ones.
Like they
Good.
just picked up right where they left off.
Good.
Yeah, and it's freaking.
I'm gonna
been
check
good.
it out.
It's been good.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna check it out.
It's
You need to.
freaking
You
good.
probably need to watch something that's like a review, a recap of the old ones before you jump in. But they do a good job. You kind of pick it up and be fine.
Even
with
if you
it.
don't, like yeah,
I love
good.
X-Men.
It's good. Go ahead, Clint.
Oh, my recommendation is a movie on Netflix. It's called Unfrosted. So
Like nobody knows what that movie is.
I watched it.
It's not talking about you.
no, it's not. Nor Nick.
Yeah.
It is kind of a parody movie a little bit about the creation of Pop-Tarts
From the mind of
from the mind of Jerry Stiller. My gosh.
Jerry
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah.
Okay. You got my attention on this one. That sounds pretty good.
So basically, Kellogg's was in this like cereal war with Post, and they were trying to come up with who's going to come up with this new
Right.
wave breakfast product.
Yeah.
It's breakfast pastry, and basically, like they go through the whole entire thing, and it's got some big names in it too. Like there's a lot of different actors. And
Was
stuff
that the
in it.
same time when like Post and Nabisco released the Big Biscuit? Like,
Sort of, but they come out basically. So they come out with Pop-Tart, which it was funny the way they came up with the name. And then Post came out with Country Squares.
Yeah.
And like all the kids are like, we don't want country squares. Number one, they're from the country. Number two, they're squares. We don't want to be squares. So like that's how the Pop-Tart thing kind of came to be.
Toast.
The History Channel has a show about that too. It's called The Men Who the Foods That Built America.
Yeah.
And it talks about that same stuff. It's just really
What was the name originally supposed to be? It was toast, tart.
It was
It was
something.
backward.
Yeah, it was backwards.
Somebody said it.
Yeah, somebody said it
Did
backwards.
the news guy, Cronkite, did he really
don't-
report it
I
right
don't
on like
know.
did that
I don't
really
know how
happen?
much of that story is actually true and how much of it's kind of made up, for entertainment purposes. But if any of it's true, it's pretty funny.
But
Like,
I think Seinfeld. I saw an interview. Seinfeld said about half of the movie's true, half of the movie they threw.
now it's
funny
got a
stuff
little
and made
language in it, but
Yeah.
like I said, it's a good funny movie because they actually make reference to things about like frost. Looks like this frost them. No, we're not going to frost them. That'll never sell.
Yeah.
Like all the different stuff, like bottled water. We ain't gonna do anything with bottled water. That stuff will never sell.
Well, they didn't even get Kellogg's permission to make the movie.
Oh,
They didn't ask Kellogg's. Like they just said, "All right, we're gonna do this." And then the movie came out, and I guess they sent over a notice to Kellogg, and Kellogg's didn't stop them. And so Jerry Seinfeld, I think it was on the Dan Patrick Show or something, or maybe the Rich Eisen Show, and they were talking about it. He's like, "Yeah," and they didn't say we couldn't, so
we did it.
So we did. But then they started, with the Pop-Tart Bowl being such a big viral hit now.
Right.
They got the Pop-Tart mascot to
Yep.
do a commercial with Jerry Seinfeld about the movie.
About the movie, really?
Yeah. So.
So has this movie been out for a while?
Oh yeah, like 3 weeks. 4 weeks.
I mean, I watched it like when it first came out.
Yeah.
I'm just now reporting on it, but
Yeah.
like it's pretty good stuff.
Unfrosted.
Like, go and watch
So
it.
this is your
Unfrosted.
report.
Yeah,
on
Thank you
the
Thank you
movie.
for your journalism.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Clint Ebert.
Clint's report brought to you by
And
Pop-Tarts.
and as we strawberry flavored. As we do,
Unfrosted.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
because this is the season finale, and by the time episode 1 of season 10 comes out, it's gonna be out. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one out here too. EA Sports presents College Football 25. I cannot
go.
freaking
Yeah, I'm
wait.
so
Let's go.
I
Let's
cannot
go.
wait.
I'm excited.
I'm
about
all
it.
about it.
And I haven't been excited about a video game in a while, but I'm excited about it. All right, Rob,
wait.
you got anything
What's
you want
the
to
release
Well, I
recommend?
didn't know we were supposed to do products.
June 19th.
You didn't tell
You
him?
recommend
No,
anything.
he told me a recommendation. He didn't say it had to be a product.
No, don't have to be.
I said it can be anything.
Yeah.
That covers a
So
pretty
it can be the
broad area.
parents.
Yeah.
I'm gonna recommend to your parents, the parents that are watching this, don't make your kids specialize in one sport.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Amen.
One-
See, that's a great
Amen.
recommendation.
And it coming
Amen.
from, I've been coaching for a while, and I get a lot of college coaches talk to me about our golfers.
Yep.
And I used to do it for football. Oh, I did it for everything at Westbrook for a couple of years. And nearly every college coach now wants to know what sports your
Plural.
kid plays,
Yep.
not what sport.
Yep.
Because if you're playing in baseball's the main one,
Playing it
baseball
year
and
round,
soccer.
you're going to tire everything out.
Well, it's daddy ball,
Yep.
and these college coaches don't. They won't even. I mean, there is some travel ball kids that make it, but most coaches now are going to the 2-sport athlete
yep.
Yeah.
At least.
because that usually means they're not
They're
coached by
versatile.
their parent
And
the
they're
whole time.
versatile.
We actually I had a guy at a tournament we played this year, a golf tournament. He was I won't say his name, but he was the women's golf coach or the golf coach at Troy. And one of our parents asked him, we were standing there at this hole, watching the kids come through, and one of our parents asked him, he said, why do y'all have so many foreigners? Every college program in the country is loaded with foreigners, non-Americans. And he said, you want to know the truth? And he said, well, I wouldn't have asked you if I didn't want to know the truth. He said, I don't have to deal with their parents. He said, their parents don't call me up, why ain't so-and-so playing? Why ain't so-and-so playing? That's what it's come to. The kids are so
Entitled.
entitled that
So
let your kids play what they want to play, and don't just say, "Hey, we're going to concentrate on baseball." Let them play everything they want to play, especially in high school.
I mean, keep
completely
your mouth
agree
shut
with you.
unless your kid's getting choked by a coach. Just shut up. Let them do what they do.
I completely agree with it, but I was talking to I can't remember his name. He was one of our orthopedics at Auburn, and he said he had 2 young kids, and he said my kids will never only play one sport.
Yeah.
And he said, and this was a point that I'd never thought about. He said it's because if a kid only plays baseball his entire life, or if a kid only plays softball her entire life, or football, that right arm doing that motion, the muscles are going to grow differently than the muscles on the other arm. They're going to be more injury prone, and their body is going to wear down specifically in those parts of the body for that sport uses more than any other sport. If they play another sport, their body's going to have to use different muscles and different bones, and their body's not going to wear out as much, as fast, because their body's doing different things at different points throughout the year. And I'm like, holy crap, I didn't think about it that way.
Makes a ton of
But that's
sense.
actually that's a really good point.
Balance is key.
Well, what Murphy said something earlier. With football, you learn with every sport. Every sport's different. You learn something.
Yes.
You learn something different with every sport. I mean, you'll learn. With football, you learn to do stuff when you're hurt.
It's mental toughness.
It's great.
Mental toughness. I mean, like man, when you get older, and I don't feel like going to work today. Well, you have to. That's something. I had broke my arm on a Tuesday night in the JV game. Had a rubber cast pad on it, and played Friday night in the varsity game.
Yep.
Yeah, who would do that now? There's a few kids. There's probably a couple on our team that would do that, but not many. And that's just, when we were coming up, that's how it was. Baseball teaches you a whole different set of stuff. And golf, totally different. Golf, mainly mental.
Yep.
Well, even in the NFL draft, Nick Saban, who's a football coach and was there for the NFL draft, was talking about these kids, like, you have to, like, if you're a baseball player, you got a certain, like, what was he talking about? He was talking about the way that you reacted to different things, like how quickly you reacted to something being a little bit different.
It's hand-eye coordination.
Right, the hand-eye coordination part of it, and that's a football coach talking about it. Like, hey, this is, you got to prove that you're an athlete, and that's why playing different sports is a big thing.
Well, most tight ends drafted and recruited in college play basketball.
Yep.
Well, the big basketball player from UNC, he's being looked at in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if tight end or not. Probably a defensive end or defensive lineman, but I enjoy watching that guy. I really did.
Yeah.
Well, that's all she wrote. We appreciate you guys. What? Go ahead.
Season 92 done.
No, go. What's your phrase about a couch?
Couch change?
But this
Yep.
you're right.
Yeah.
It's like being
Thanks
married.
for coming on, Rob.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You're right.
man.
Absolutely appreciate
Hey, I
it.
told y'all we were going to talk a lot.
Yeah.
Rob's got all kinds of stories. He's got a lot more, too.
Well, that's how this
Yeah,
works. We
he's-
talk or then we go home.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna have to
got
come
done.
back on. Is the bottom line. So I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of guests on for season 10. So he'll probably get to come back real soon,
I'd
shortly.
be glad to. It's
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a good time just talking, especially when there's Murphree to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, I got one lined up today to come on next season.
I cannot wait.
I can't wait.
TD.
TD.
Hey,
Is he related to RD? Mercer?
This is nephew.
TD.
Hey, and by the way, had that cement work
Yeah, Rob's
done
Rebar.
in here last week, and it was pretty exciting here because Rob's Rebar representative was here, and
Lloyd
Lloyd Dobbins was here doing the cement. So it was huge.
Yeah, it was a
It was
good
a huge
time.
day. They were here at the same time.
Good time. If you don't know what we're talking about, go and listen to RD Mercer. You'll
Rob's
find
Rebar.
You'll find out
I
real
need to
quick.
pack a lunch and go down there?
Yeah.
How big a boy are you?
Yeah.
How big a boy
There was a
are
lot of
you?
that last week. Oh, Lord, it's good to see him.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. Don't forget, you can talk.
Or go home.
That went nowhere.
That
to
was
the camera.
terrible.
That was terrible.
But
Go home.
it's bent, and so it.
Like
Got
carrots.
the old peyronie's disease.
I got him. I got him.
No pepperoni.
Peyronie's disease.
Bent carrots.
Bent carrots.
So I got to ask you one question, if you remember this. Is this off?
No, yes, all.
Yeah,
So-
we won't.
I mean, it's not bad. It's pretty funny, though. It's a Bobo story.
Oh, yes! Bobo.
So when I was doing
B-O-B-O.
the maintenance stuff, the electrical maintenance for the school system, I don't remember where I was at one day, but I think I was at Raglan, and Whaley calls me, "Hey, get over here. The power keeps blinking in the hallways. It's like, what? He said the lights keep going off in the hall. And I was like, okay. He said, I've called the power company. Well, I get here and the power company's here, and they're like, well, we don't really know what's going on. The breakers aren't hot. They checked the breakers and all that. And I checked the breakers, and I said, let's just go. Which hall is it? And it was the hall right over here, your hall. Well, me and Whaley come walking down the hall, and you walk out of your room. You said, hey, have y'all seen Bobo? And Whaley stopped, and he goes, oh, no. He said, you said, I think he's probably in the bathroom. So me and Whaley walk in the bathroom to see if Bobo's in there. And we walk in, and Bobo says, watch this, Coach Whaley, watch this.
Oh, yeah.
He sticks his hand under the faucet, got the water running. Sticks his hand under there and hits the hand dryer. and the power blinks and goes out. It's shocking him. And it's causing the power to go off. He's as red as Murphy's hat. And I was like, it's what he's doing.
This is funny.
And he'd been doing it for hours. And I was like, no wonder you're not dead, Bobo. Stop.